All right. Hi, Amy. I'm Kami. I write for the mamadiaries.com. Thanks for talking with me today. So before we even get started, I need to compliment you on your great taste in kids' names because my oldest son, his name is Lincoln.
Oh, well, thank you. So nice to meet you. Yeah, we're good with that. That's awesome. It's a unique and strong name.
That's what I go with too. Yeah, except my son's going to be 13 next month, and I'm not ready for that. I
Yeah,
know. Enjoy him while he's little.
I know, right? Holding on.
Oh my goodness. So I cooking is not my favorite thing to do, but when I was watching your videos, like you actually made it look fun. So
Oh, thank
I
you.
mean, I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like I could maybe do that, you know? So that was really good. When did you first discover your love for cooking? And is it something that you always enjoyed?
Well, I grew up in a big family. We have a blended family of six kids total. So we had to help in the kitchen always, like with little tasks and things like that. I remember my mom being like, okay, you're peeling the potatoes, you're setting the table, you're on cleanup duty. So it started at a young age, but I am a firm believer that it started with my stomach. I've always enjoyed eating. And then it got to the point where I needed to figure out how to feed myself.
Mhm.
So as a teenager, I started trying to make very basic foods and you fail a lot, and with those failures you learn from them. So that's kind of like where my passion of cooking started, and family gatherings and feeding people has always been like a way to show love.
I love that. So how did you get you're like what was your journey like with Million Stories? How did you get fed and frugal over there?
Well, I was presented, so I'm a personal chef. So I've cooked for people for over 11 years. And I was presented this opportunity with Million Stories.
Mhm.
And I've always just been in the kitchen in the back burner. I've never really done any video content, or I've never been like, I'm going to be an inspiring cooking show host, I was like, when I got the opportunity, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be that good on the camera, but you know what? I do things that scare you, take chances. And it was a great learning experience. And I had a wonderful time doing it.
The episodes I watched, like you were so relatable, like as a person, you look like you were
Thank
in
you.
your element. So that was really
I
great.
realized I'm a weird individual.
Well, it works for you, so just go with
Thank you.
it. So my favorite episode was the one where you were making the fried rice with your son. I think that a lot of parents are probably hesitant to cooking with their kids because, I mean, obviously it takes more time. But
Yes.
like my personal experience, I know that if I involve my kids, and especially if it's something they haven't tried, then they're more likely to try it. So what advice would you give to parents who are maybe, struggling with letting their kids help out in the kitchen?
Start with a basic like starting points, like maybe like cracking eggs or mixing the pancake batter or things like that, where it would be something simple but not like overwhelming, like I'm going to teach you knife skills today. Mixing the flours or the brownie mix together, these are all little things that you can do to try to get them started, but not having a total mess. And there's going to be mess because they're going to learn, they're trying to use those motor skills. And so it's kind of like the control freak needs to try to die down. It's really hard sometimes. And you just got to be like, there's going to be shells maybe in the eggs and you can pick them out. And if not, we'll have crunchy eggs, unfortunately, you know?
I made pancakes I watched my nephew, he's two, twice a week. And we made pancakes the other day and he thought it was
Yes.
the greatest thing going.
Yeah, and it started like when my son was really little, he would just look at the stool and look over the stovetop when I would be making pancakes, for example. And so we would learn about hot, don't
Mm,
touch. Now we're flipping the pancakes. Maybe we'll sprinkle some chocolate chips in so he could throw some chocolate chips in. So it doesn't have to be, it can be really simple. Where they're not like, okay, this is the flames and the spatula, and you're gonna get
right.
going, and you can do things that are age appropriate depending on them.
Absolutely. So if you're like crunched for time, what is your go-to meal? Like something that's quick and easy and tastes good.
Quick and easy and tastes good. You can always do the fried rice like what we did, because that's
Mhm.
just a good way to just use ingredients so they don't go bad. I hate when I open up the refrigerator and I'm like, oh, that broccoli went bad. And it's just like
Every
throwing
week.
away money. So those type things. And I will do is setting up your pantry always helps. So when I'm not feeling like doing anything, usually I'll pull out some like frozen meat sauce that I made. And granted, I'm not making like gourmet ragouts. I'll make maybe slice up some onions and vegetables and some ground meat if I want to eat some meat, and then a jar of red sauce. And then I can simmer that on the stovetop. But when I do cook, I tend to make a lot of different portions, and then I'll put it in little containers. So all I have to do is take that red sauce out, for example, and maybe cook some pasta and then steam some broccoli real quick. And that is an effortless meal that took like 2 seconds. Granted, say if you don't have the freezing red sauce, just use some dry red sauce and make spaghetti. Add some leftover veggies in there if you do have, or the fried rice or tacos. Tacos are very easy because you can take a leftover piece of meat, chop it up, season it differently than it was already in, and take that, just kind of like changing up profiles and doing quick meals. Because I love to cook, but I don't like to cook all the time. Sometimes I get in those food ruts as well. Trust me.
Like everyone else. Yeah. So if you're having like company over, do you have like a go-to meal that that like is going to be a hit with everyone that you would serve?
Go-to meal, it kind of depends on what I'm personally feeling like selfishly. Sometimes I really do and love like a sheet pan meal. So one thing when I have guests, I don't want to necessarily be cooking in the kitchen all day. So I try to do things that are make ahead of time. So that could be like sheet pan chicken fajitas, where you slice up the chicken and the bell peppers and the onions, and you toss everything together and you roast it in the oven. So all you have to do maybe is pull out the sheet pan, assemble the tacos, have some beans or rice on the stove, or maybe a salad. And then, or you could do like a crock pot meal. So right now we just made like a butternut squash chili recently, and you just have that sitting on the countertop, and ahead of time you can have all your toppings in little bowls. So when your guests do arrive, you just put everything out on a tray and everyone can serve themselves. So you get to relax and enjoy. Because I hate when you're the host and you just working away and don't get to socialize and everyone else is having fun and you're like, okay, now I'm exhausted.
Yes, that's the worst. We had a Halloween party over the weekend, and we catered a lot of it in just because for that reason. We had a kid party, and we just, like, we want to visit.
Of course, it makes your life easier, and then you get to enjoy your time too and not work the whole time. So that's one of my key recommendations is try not to overcomplicate things and keep things simple for yourself. Make ahead things that you can do before your guests arrive so you get to enjoy the party.
That makes sense. So I've seen a lot of your food like that you've cooked. Do you bake at all?
I do bake. I am the type of baker that does not like precise measurements. So, like I like to do, I'll do like crisps and things that aren't like, I'm not going to be doing souffles. I'm not that type of person, because that is just like, I'm not the precise person, but like cookies and things like that. I do enjoy like a panna cotta, or if we're getting really wild, sometimes doing desserts like that. But I'm too much of a perfectionist to try to do cakes. I stay in my lane and do the professional. Like if I do a cake, it's going to look like a home birthday cake. It's not going to be, sometimes I try to make them look really good. But it's really hard when I'm like, oh, that's leaning just a little bit, and it bugs me. So
my grandmother used to make wedding cakes, and I remember being a little girl and like she was trying to teach me how to do it, but she was like, there was a certain method.
Yes.
Like, oh my God. So I don't do the wedding cakes, but yeah. Okay, well, I think that's all the questions I have for you today, but it was so great to meet you. I love everything that I've watched, and I love your son
so much. Yes. Well, good to you as well.
It is, and I love that it's like you don't hear it all the time.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. It's great to meet you.